Grand Rising, and this is a little update on my world, as it were. I thought I'd show you here's the proof, the manifesting, the rugs that came in under 24 hours. What I've got here is a coconut shell. I've got one outside in use as an ashtray, but I thought, let's sand this and make it into something, keeping that sort of individual errant theme to everything here. It's handmade, therefore it has energy put into it. It's not just off the shelf made by a machine. It's got that human spirit put back into these things. So we'll just go for a little wander out here. I've been making a few changes. The original plan was to have like a window, but with this heat and everything, it's just no point. It's better to have it all covered. And of course, I estimate another 15 bamboo canes, the sort of green colour ones, which will blend and fades to the sort of straw colour of the latest editions. That's sort of cutting them, bringing them up, cutting them to size, stripping all the leaves and things off of them, and that gets chopped up and turned into a mulch. I was contemplating with this, now we have this self-proving day count system, the SHAR, the one turning of the stars, i.e. a day, the day count system, as shown superbly on Archaic's channel. And I was thinking about the average lifespan of a cat, say between 15 and 20 years, and that comes out something like 5,478 I think it's 7,308 SHARs. That will be the range. And I was thinking, as we have this day count system, why not open it up and re-evaluate everything, take all mammal species and see what comes out? Because I feel there will be coding expressed in the sort of averages. Obviously going to have to go with the averages as given, but I mean, some of the smallest microscopic things are supposed to live with it 1 day or 3 days, so you've got anything from an age range of 1 or 3 SHARs right up to, if we take a human lifespan, it's the age of 75. I forget what it was now, but I think it's 27,000 SHARs, but obviously some live longer than that. Anyway, my sister, who came over from the UK the other week, she spotted these wooden vegetable boxes, and I was thinking, what can I do with them? They're too good to just throw away or use as firewood. So what I've come up with, because this ground is so hard, is creating another raised bed. So the shorter pieces of bamboo and the offcuts from the bits I've cut today are starting to form a back screen, which you can see creates a shadow, so it will give some welcome relief to anything that is grown. And I thought, well, the wooden boxes will eventually sort of rot down, by which time the sort of stone walling with a bit of earth clay will have settled, and it won't matter about the boxes. And so I thought I'd just, because this ground is like concrete, it's like there's no point trying to even get posts into it. So let's just attach some wooden battens to the backs of the boxes, and we can infill with the bamboo, which is sort of roughly in line with the way the wind comes either from the south or the north, so it's not likely to get blown over or wrecked. It's only about 3 foot high anyway. It's just partly a privacy and, more importantly, giving some shade. So it'll match the other side. I don't know how well this is showing. I'm getting back reflection on the screen here, but the entrance eventually will have a sort of mirror on each side with the stone walling, and maximising the sort of close to hand ground area for growing. So these are all tomato plants here, but I need to build up the soil. I may have to invest in some commercial compost. There's only so much can make, but even human body waste, that can be reused. There is nothing wasted. It's working in harmony with nature. This pile here is basically either compost or will become the sort of binding agent with the earth clay to finish off that building. I was asked a question and asked if I could put it out on video, and I thought, yeah, why not? And the question is, when we freeze in a situation, does it allow our higher self to come through and take control? And pondering this a little while ago, I was considering how many stories you get of, say, a little old lady of about 75 happens to be the person closest to someone who's being crushed under a car because the car jack has collapsed, and this little old lady is able to pick the corner of the car up and displays this superhuman strength, this, shall we say, titan strength. And if you consider what is actually happening there, I would say that the focus, which is totally benevolent, is so strong that it detaches from this reality. I feel that is another way, that what I've discussed about immersing yourself as a method of, like a form of meditation, where you lose a certain amount of awareness with this reality. And imagine the potential of that. And I was also pondering, well, funny enough, I was pondering, with the return of a vapour canopy, does that mean all these roofs are going to have to be raised up? But it also opens up the question, with the increase in stature, say the average height of humanity becomes 12 foot, does the strength become exponentially greater? Would the stone blocks that seem so massive to us today be such a problem if the strength increased way beyond the sort of height, say doubling from 6 to 12 foot? Does the strength double, or does it increase far greater than that? I don't know, I'm just speculating. But it'd be interesting to know what are your thoughts on the going into freeze, fight, freeze or fawn is, there's a perception of it being negative, but maybe the freeze, if it is coming from a place of benevolence rather than fear, with that singular focus, maybe that unlocks this superhuman strength that some have in those moments, but at any other time it would look way beyond their capabilities, like an old lady of 75 lifting up a car. Because they're talking, what, maybe a ton for a car? I'm not even sure, but there's certainly been numerous testimonies and accounts of such things happening. So just to give you an idea, the sort of vision I have, as it were, this is the entrance. It's a little bit random and all over the place, but I envision maybe eventually two sort of stone sort of towers and maybe an archway going across, and then a look of almost like an abundant and thriving garden centre. So you're greeted with an array of colour, blending in with the surroundings, and of course it's the surroundings that are actually giving all the materials for this, which is rather fantastic. And keeping that sort of very individual, handcrafted look about everything as I go. Probably where this pile is will end up as another bed, and maybe another one in front of there. The sort of pile of earth clay will eventually go. So that's potentially a growing bed, and got the water tank here, doing alright for water at the moment. And rather a glorious day. Just happened to see 10 minutes and 44 seconds. It's like, well, what other number would I see? Even the shoe size, I bought another pair of Crocs, because these ones are sort of, the sole's pretty much worn out in the middle. And of course had to be size 44, didn't it? You just can't make these things up. And more tomato plants here as well, just to finish off. You can see those through there. This is just a raised bed, still very shallow, but I intend to build this up further. And of course I can always shape the earth clay to make retaining walls. That's basically, you know, this small patch, which is supposed to have potato plants, but it's more to, at this stage, is to get the soil reactivated. And I was thinking, where I've made this stepped bit here, I should probably cut out this chunk and have a bigger single area, and then maybe move that down, the surplus from there, and just wet it, and it'll soon set like concrete, and then things will grow through it anyway. So nature will do part of the work, as it were. Anyway, there's a couple of bits to ponder there about lifespans. Maybe there'll be a pattern emerges from that hasn't been seen yet. I certainly feel that there's a lot that can be re-evaluated. Now we have this day count system as a way of measuring things. And it'd be interesting to see what the results are of those emerging patterns as well. Could even do it with plants and things, I suppose. But just a few things to ponder, and of course about the increase in height, and is it relative in the increase in strength, or is it greater? There's certainly reports of, I think it's from the Solomon Islands, of those red-haired giants and being able to pull trees out the ground. I mean, how hard is it for a human of today to pull some of the weeds and things out the ground, never mind trying to pull a small tree out the ground, or a shrub. So if we're talking a 12 to 15 foot giant, and they can rip a tree out the ground, it does make you wonder about the strength. That's if those stories are true, of course. I obviously can't verify that, but as much as anything else, it's make a note of these things and weigh them up, and of course it does always open up more and more questions to everything. So that's a little sort of thought meandering, and I thought, yeah, thank you very much, Steve, for the prompt of the question, which really has prompted this video. And I thought I'd share it with a little update on the progress. It's a case of do a bit, take frequent breaks because of the heat. But what actually comes from that is you get to see the increment progress far easier than if you sort of go at it all day long and then stop, and it's easy to forget what you started with, whereas this seems to break it into smaller time frames, and it's easier to see the difference in the progress. Just an idea, because it seems with everything else, the way we've been taught is the complete opposite of the way to actually achieve anything. And on one final note, a big thank you. I've had a few donations lately, of late, and I'm not sure if when I put a reply in PayPal, if the recipient actually gets to read it. I'm not. It seems very hit and miss on that messaging service through that medium, but it's from people who watch this channel. So I'm saying an immense thank you. It really does help. I can make a lot more progress. Cement and paint for the buildings, and start assessing which are the sort of hand tools that are going to be the most useful, and then gradually build up everything that's needed. Eventually that community sitting area, I'd like to replace it with more substantial timbers, and also basically have a sort of like a small working sawmill in which to manufacture framework for even potentially a building like this, because that's all this is made of. It's basically just timber framing and then earth clay clad. And it takes a colossal weight with the, you can't really see them from here, but the tiles at the top there, it's quite a lot of weight up there, so it shows the strength of these things, and it's just using the resources you've got, basically, what nature provides locally. It's right here to hand. Right, I must, the sun's nearly starting to disappear down the hill, so I've got all this area, and all down there, and all down there, and a few more places down there that all need water, which is a twice daily event, but well worth it. So I hope you enjoyed this sort of little mini tour and updates, and giving you a few things to ponder, and do let us know in the comments.